was like 30 minutes into the video and hadn't gotten anywhere, right? But I had been talking about the shooting and giving an update, and uh I'm over here bawling my eyes out because I feel like no one trusts me now, or like that very few, like I don't know, like this one person didn't believe me about the shooting. They didn't believe my word. They didn't believe anything I had to say. So it got to me. It's gotten to me. I just feel so broken because of it. Because the fact that they don't believe me hurts me so much. Just because they're a Christian too. Like and because they know me in real life. Like I've met them, I've hung out with them, and the fact that they don't believe me, they didn't believe me about the shooting, didn't believe what I saw and heard and literally felt the bullets going through the air. They didn't believe what I said. They believed what their friends and their job said because they worked in that mall that I was at, that the shooting happened at, and they didn't believe me, to the point that they had said that the person got what they deserved because they pranked the cops, when it was no prank. It was a kid, by the way. He really had a gun, and he either shot at the cops or tried shooting at the cops, or just pulled it out because he got scared, and then the cops like opened fire on him. But apparently, according to the cops, they only shot his legs, which would make sense because there was not a lot of blood, I guess. Like, from what I could see, there was barely any blood from when I was there, and from photos and videos that people had taken afterwards. But like, I don't know, my like real life Christian friend, having a real life Christian friend of mine not believe me in anything I told them, just like, it has me broken. It has me broken because his job, or people at his job, had said that it was a kid with fireworks trying to set off fireworks in the mall, but that's not what it was. It was a kid. The news said that it was a kid. Well, they didn't specifically say it was a kid, but they said that they cannot reveal the identity of the person due to their age, which means they're under 18. But from what I saw, I'm believing that they're between the ages of 14 and 17, possibly 14 or 15 more likely, because they were in a school uniform. Even though there's no school right now at the moment, they were in a school uniform, and they were in a school uniform of a school that I used to go to when I was a kid. So if they are actually 15, like 14 or 15 with a gun, that's insane. Because like it's just crazy. Like like and since that one friend didn't believe me, I ended up telling another friend who I know in real life, that I've seen, hung out with, that I'm a little bit closer to, and he cared. He was worried for me. He was like, "Oh, are you okay? Like, is everything all right? Like, what is going on? What's happening? What's like?" He was trying to make sure that I was okay, and it's just like, even my online friends, like I would have expected my online friends to be like, "Oh, that's crazy," or not care at all. But my online friends even cared way more than this friend of mine that's a Christian. And it's like, the reason why I keep mentioning that he's a Christian is because, like, I always get blinded by the fact that not all Christians are a certain way or are as I would think they would be, because I tend to believe that all Christians are very caring and kind and don't joke around like in certain situations, and know when like to not act like a child, and know when like there's something serious going on. And it just hurt me. It really hurt me that my friend that I know in real life wouldn't believe me. But they had multiple people telling them that it was just fireworks, so I can't be so stuck on the fact that they didn't believe me, because obviously, who's going to believe one person over a bunch of people, right? But it just hurts, and that's something I need to get over. That's something that I'm struggling with, because I struggle with the fact that there's a lot of situations where people don't believe me, and I don't know how to handle that, because I expect people to believe me, especially certain people. I expect certain people to believe me 100%. And when those people don't believe me, it just hurts. It breaks me. And like, I just thank God that I'm alive right now. I thank God so much that I'm alive right now, because literally, that friend that didn't care when I told them that I was in the mall, that I saw everything, I was feet away from it. They sent me a picture the next day of a bullet hole, and he said that a bullet went straight through one of the things in the store he works at. And he even with the picture, he was joking around, like it was a legit bullet hole, like that the police had like measured out and stuff. And he was joking around with the picture. He was like, look, it's a bullet hole. That's pretty much how it felt. It felt like he was just like laughing at the fact that there was an actual bullet hole in the store that he worked at, which was just like 10 feet away from the shooting to the right. And I was 10 feet away. I was about 10 feet away from the shooting to the left. So it's just like, if the bullet could go that far to, if one of the bullets could have gone that far to the right, one of those bullets could have gone that far to the left, and I probably wouldn't be here. Literally, just seconds before it all happened, I was standing in the exact spot that it happened for like 2 or 3 minutes. I could have been in the middle of that. There are so many situations where I could have been in the middle of all that. And it's just like, it just hurts me. It just hurts me that one person out of the few people that I told that it happened didn't care and took it as a joke. And then it's like, I tried to make them realize that, like, dude, I could have died. They were like, well, I don't even know what they said. Um, um, mm, mhm, mhm. Okay, it says, but anyways, turns out no matter what, thank God for every situation you go through. That's the very last thing he sent me. The other thing I will not speak on because I will get very upset. Um, but yeah, I I it's just insane to me, you know. It's just insane to me. But I really need to stop talking about it because this isn't okay for me to do. I shouldn't be talking about it. I shouldn't be mentioning everything that's hurting me right now because I shouldn't be mentioning in detail what is hurting me right now because that is not okay. Like, yes, it's hurting me. Yes, I'm in pain because of it mentally and emotionally, but he did it. He did what he did. It's over now. And there's nothing I can do other than move forward, push through that. And I just am mentioning it because this video is making me remember about it because not only did him not believing me hurt, him saying that the kid got what he deserved hurt me too. Because yes, the kid got what they deserved because they pulled out a gun on the cops. What person pulls out a gun at the cops? But then it's also like, why did he feel the need to shoot and to pull out a gun at the cops? Why did he feel the need? Why did he feel so threatened, so scared for his life that he was trying to pull out a gun at the cops? Like, it doesn't make sense. And then there was a person that said that this is an example of poor parenting. It doesn't matter if you're one of the most amazing parents in the world, you can still end up having a child that gets corrupted by the world and does horrible things like that. And then even if you're amazing parents and like even give your kids allowance, like if you give your kids an allowance of like $5 every few weeks, they can still be upset about that and be like, $5 isn't enough. I'm gonna steal some stuff because apparently that's what the kid did. The kid stole stuff, and then cops got called, and that's when the whole situation happened. So it's like, you never know. Maybe his parents are amazing. Maybe his parents take care of them, and he just didn't like how much money he had or how little money they had or he had, and decided like, oh, he was gonna steal some stuff because that's the only way for him to get stuff. And then in return, now he's going to juvie for theft, um, endangering public, um, pulling out a gun on a cop, endangering the life of pedestrians and cops and all that. I'm sorry for the noise in the background. There's a child jumping around. But let's get into the video. You guys will end up seeing the part where I was talking about where it's like I don't like that hearing that friend of mine saying that the kid got what he deserved, like no. Like, I can understand that people are like, yeah, cops, get the person, but it's like, it was a child. Like, what is going on that's so wrong in that child's life that they need a gun and they needed to steal? But let's just get into the video because I don't want to keep on talking about this because I keep on I keep on talking about it, and I don't wanna be like, I I I I can't, like. And the fact that all of this happened, I could have died on Friday. I could have died on Friday. And like I've been telling you guys, I've been pretty distant with God since Wednesday. And it's just like I could have died. I could have died, and I feel so numb to God. Like I said, I feel like I'm slowly drifting away, and the slowly drifting away is working in a way, right? Um, maybe I won't watch this. Maybe I'll watch one of the other videos, right? Let's see. Let's see. Let me see. Let's press the home button, and we'll see. Does one of the videos show up? Because literally, as you guys can see, none of these are Christian videos. None of these at all. Well, this one is. This one is. No, 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 no. Well, yes, this one is. And no.
I think
I
the
want to
concept
watch
of
this
fearing God
person's
can cause
videos.
many Christians to be
I feel like
confused,
they'll help
mainly
out
because
more
we believe God to be loving. And I've heard believers say that when
something's
we
wrong
fear
with
God,
me when
it just means
watching
to
that
respect and
video of
have reverence
his.
for God. So if, for example, we have a good
I feel like it might be that like there's so many short videos of him like preaching in his church to the point where it's kind of like my brain is like, okay, next video, next video, next video. But then it's like, this is a 40 something minute long video, so.
good relationship with one of our parents, it would probably mean that we'd want to make them proud, so naturally we'd fear letting them down. And I know tons of people
Yeah.
who connect this example to the fear of God. And honestly, I
I'm
feel like
adding
this kind of
videos to the
thinking
queue.
could be right, but honestly it's shallow. The fear of God is deeper than us having the fear of letting him down. And our thinking on the topic should go farther than us just respecting God. So to help us dive a little bit deeper, here are 7 thoughts that every Christian should bear in mind when it comes to fearing God.
Okay.
Thought number 1, the fear of God should come from who God is. Revelation chapter 1,
Yes.
verse 17. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. But he laid his right hand on me, saying to me, do not be afraid, I am the first and the last. In this passage,
Okay.
Jesus revealed himself to John. Do not be afraid, I am the first and the last.
Okay. So Revelations 1:17. See? That's another passage, another verse where Jesus is claiming to be God. That's amazing. That is incredible. Because I asked Google where in the Bible does Jesus say he's God? And all Google said was there is no specific verse in the Bible, or there's nothing specific in the Bible there's nothing in the Bible that specifically states that Jesus claims he is God. What is this right here, Google? What is this? Revelation 1:17. And I love how the hymn for God or Jesus is always capitalized. It makes it so amazing. Oh, yes. And this reminds me. I don't know if I've said this already before, but I'm going to say it again. And I might say it multiple times later in the future because I'll forget. But there was a moment when I was in middle school. Yeah, middle school. Where I where I had no clue how to spell good or God. I didn't know how to spell either, and I would mix it up when I would go. So, and the thing was, I was also at that time um in uh in a class about the Greek gods, because apparently that's so important for history to learn about the Greek gods when we don't even live in the country where the Greek gods were a thing. We live in the US. Oh wow. Okay, I gotta rip this out because I started spelling history. Okay. I was literally I fell at his, and instead of saying his feet, I said his history. Okay, we gotta write that all over again. But there was a time in middle school where I was in, I had to learn about the Greek gods, and around that time, I also ended up starting to go to church with my mom. And some of you might know the situation, some of you might not. I don't know. If you don't know about the situation, you can go ahead and the ask me if you'd like to hear about the situation of how we started going to church. Um, but we started going to church around that time, and oh yeah, this is also why I can't read and I can't speak and write stuff, because like I said, I was talking and I ended up writing history instead of his feet. But we started going to church around that time, and I started getting really into God. It wasn't anyone forcing me to be. It was just I was really interested in God. I didn't understand anything, but I wanted to know everything. So pretty much God became like the main focus of everything for me. Not really like I understood everything, but like I wanted to know everything, but I didn't like go out of my way to know everything. I just was like, oh, I want to know everything. And 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 I was in a history class. We were learning about the Greek gods. Oh my goodness. Okay, I didn't exactly spell history, but his feet is gonna be very close together. I almost spelled history again. Okay. And they had us, like, I had just learned at my church that God was spelled God. So whenever I went to spell good or God, I always mixed it up. I would put good as God and God as Good. But then sometimes I was like, that doesn't look right, but I don't know. So I'd spell it both ways and hope that I got it right so that points weren't taken off. But it wasn't until I got like the next year when I found out like, oh, I am very not intelligent because I was spelling it wrong. Um but yeah, it was really funny because even though I barely knew anything about God, um there since we were doing things about the Greek gods and Greek mythology, learning about Percy Jackson and all that, right? Watching the Percy Jackson movies, right? Um since we were doing all of that, um we ended up having to do a project about my teacher ended up having us do a project about the gods. And at the time I was like, no. I was like, no, there's only one God. Literally, like, little, like, what was it, 12, 13-year-old me was like, nah, I'm not doing a project about these fake gods. Like, I knew that, like, I don't know, like, part of me knew that, like, nah, these gods are literally myths. That's just why it's called Greek mythology. Um, so I was like, I'm gonna do a project about Jesus, but like I didn't know a ton about Jesus, right? Um, so I don't really remember what I put or anything like that, but I do remember that we also had to draw a picture of the god that we chose, and I ended up drawing like the hair. Like it already had like a pre-made circle, like oval of a face, and all I did was draw some hair, like the wavy hair around the oval, and then I put a question mark in the middle. Like I didn't try drawing Jesus because like obviously I wasn't like a child enough to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna draw Jesus." I was old enough to be like, I don't actually know how Jesus looks, and I'm not about to use one of the Catholic paintings of Jesus. Because, yes, that may be somewhat of how Jesus might look, but at the same time, I don't know for sure. So I'm not going to do anything that I don't know for sure. So it was pretty much everything I had learned from church put into that paper, and everything that I was learning from the Bible. Which it was kind of crazy because I did not have a child's Bible. I think I had like I still have the Bible. It's across my room in a bin, but that was like my second ever Bible because I do have a very first Bible, and it's one of those like baby Bibles. It's like my first Bible, one of those books. And I brought that to church. No, I brought that to school. And it was kind of funny because um I was I got really into reading the Bible um in middle school. Like no one was telling me to, no one was forcing me to. I just started reading. Um which is pretty insane to me. But then I got to a point in the Bible, like for me, beforehand, like literally not even beforehand, like from middle school to just a few years ago, I I felt like I needed to read the Bible front to back, like an actual book, rather than read it like different chapters at a time. And sorry, I'm yawning. And oh look, how to study the Bible. There we go. Did I put that on the queue? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, yep, it's there. But I forget what I was saying. Like I pretty much decided to read the Bible like full. Okay, so like when I was younger and just a few years ago as well, I felt the need to like read the Bible, like genuinely read the Bible and like read it front to back because it's a book, and according to schools, like from growing up in school, right? I obviously felt like it was wrong to read a book from like the middle or end and then go to the beginning or like stuff like that. I don't know. Because like I had just gotten used to the fact that manga is read back to front. And then it's like I have to go to the Bible where you can read from anywhere you want, really. And I was like, no, I'm gonna try and read the Bible front to back. And it was so difficult. Like it was pretty easy, kind of. Like I don't know, I just felt like reading, and I just read so much of it. Like I almost got through like most of Genesis, I think. But then I got to a part of the Bible where it talked about two girls and their father, and the two girls taking advantage of their father. And mind you, I was like 12 or 13 reading that, and I was just in so much shock from reading that I stopped reading the Bible on my own. Like I didn't tell my mom that that was in the Bible. I didn't say anything about me reading that to anyone other than like the other kids that were at church. I was like, guys, it talks about this in the Bible. That's crazy. And like I don't know, but after reading that, I completely like I just stopped I just stopped reading the Bible after that. Like I continued to try reading the Bible, but then after reading that, it's like it changed everything about reading the Bible for me. I don't know, because like I didn't know that the Bible was gonna be like that. I didn't know that the Bible was gonna be like graphic in a way, or like have information like that, or talk about very like brutal things or stuff like that. But now I know that it does, obviously. So yeah. Let's continue the video.
Last. In this passage, Jesus revealed himself to John, one of Jesus' 12 disciples, and Jesus didn't appear to him like the humble man John saw before. This passage describes Jesus as possessing immense power, and John said the face of Jesus was like the sun shining in its strength, and his voice was like the sound of roaring waters, and his eyes like a blazing flame, and his hair completely white. Now, to put this
Oh,
into
wow.
perspective, imagine the heat of the sun on a hot and sunny day. Next, note that despite it feeling hot, according to NASA, the sun is about 93 million miles away, or 150 kilometers away from the Earth. So if the sun's intensity can be that overwhelming for us being millions of miles away, could you imagine standing in front of the sun in full strength? Because that's what it was like for John as he stood in front of Jesus.
You know, that's kind of crazy. Like like science says that it's that far away, yet we can still feel the heat of the sun. And it's just like, how can you not believe in God when saying that? How can you not believe in God when saying that, oh, we're this far away from the planet that can completely destroy us? So it's just a coincidence, right? It's just a coincidence that we're so far enough away from the planet that can completely obliterate us, but we're not too far to the point where we'll all just freeze to death. Like, how does that make sense? We're not far enough to freeze, but we're not close enough to burn either. We're just right to the point where as long as people took care of the earth, then nothing bad would happen. Because obviously all this global warming and forest fires and stuff is due to us, because the earth was perfectly fine before us. All the natural disasters happened because God had them happen in the Bible, like the flood and all that other stuff. That all happened because people were disobeying God, but um yeah. Um yeah.
in full strength, because that's what it was like for John as he stood in front of Jesus. And then John says that the voice of Jesus was like the sound of many waters. And I don't know if you've ever been to a large waterfall or heard the sound of crashing water,
Yeah.
but it's loud. I
Mhm.
remember going to the Niagara Falls on the Canadian side
Niagara
and seeing a
Falls.
waterfall that gigantic and hearing the sound of the water there was powerful. So for John, Jesus' eyes and face were blinding, his voice deafening, and the sheer power of Jesus made John fall as if he were dead. And Jesus' first words to him were, "Do not be afraid." And we don't just see this kind of terror in the New Testament, we also see it in the Old. Look at Exodus chapter 20, verses 18 to 19. Now all the people witnessed the thunderings, the lightning flashes, the sound of the trumpet, and the mountain was smoking. And when the people saw it, they trembled and stood afar off. Then they said to Moses, "You speak with us, and we will hear, but let not God speak with us, lest we die." In this passage, God was on Mount
Wow.
Sinai, and his power caused the skies to thunder and flash lightning. And as the people saw the Sinai, "Let not God speak with us, lest we..."
Okay. I want to write that down. Okay. Exodus 20:18 to 19. Okay. Now all the people witnessed the thunderings. The thunderings. The thunderings. Okay. I would love to be able to watch the Thunderbolts with you guys. I wonder if I could do that. If I can, without getting copyrighted too much, I will definitely try to. I would definitely try to. So I'm probably gonna try that if I can find it. Because I want to show you guys what I seen while watching the Thunderbolts, because I don't think a lot of other people have also seen what I've seen, because I just feel like it's due to getting so much closer to God that I was able to see that way. But like obviously I was completely wrong about that slime anime. That time I got reincarnated as a slime, that anime has nothing to do with God. That one scene made me feel like, wow, that's what Jesus did for us. But then it's like after that it goes so downhill to the point where it's like, no, thank you, you're wrong. But I didn't know that until I got to a certain point in the anime, so that was great. But yeah, I'm definitely not watching that anymore. Sorry, I'm just trying to write this down. I am almost done. Kind of, sort of, maybe not really. I'm halfway done. Halfway there. I am halfway there. Okay, last two sentences, right? Sorta, in a way. Last sentence, almost there. Afar. Okay. Now it's last sentence. You and we God speak us, lest we die. Okay.
We die.
I might not get through all these videos in this video. I will probably be back later tonight and watch the rest of these, but I don't know, since I had been talking so much in the beginning, and since I also haven't eaten and I'm hungry because I didn't eat much yesterday. I ate yesterday. It's just I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. I'm just really hungry right now. And I just feel out of it still. I really have to stop watching the videos I'm watching because, as you guys didn't see, but yeah, after this video I'll show you guys my my For You page, or my recommended page.
In this passage, God was on Mount Sinai, and his power caused the skies to thunder and flash lightning. And as the people saw the mountain smoking, they told Moses that they'd rather talk to him as opposed to God out of fear of dying. You see, the people were rightly afraid of God when they saw him for who he actually was.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because God's power is infinite. And if you consider who God is and what he's done, we should reach a place of complete awe and fear. He's the creator of the universe, the billions of galaxies, and he's the creator of our souls, and is the judge of them, and is the ultimate decider of whether people live for eternity in heaven or in complete torment in the flames of hell. Just imagine that. God decides what happens to you. I know many people today will mock God and will depict God and Jesus as figures to make fun of. And they'll make comics or YouTube videos and pretend to be God. And some have even created a list of questions and arguments that they have for God. And for people who do such things, do not understand that their conception of who God is completely inferior to who God actually is.
Yes.
And this is why people use God's name in vain and will use God and Jesus Christ as curse words because they do not believe God as being someone to fear. So all that to say, I think the fear of God is more than just respecting God. I think it's looking at who God actually is, seeing what that actually implies, and then responding according to that knowledge. Because when John saw Jesus, John, as a natural response, fell before God being completely
My stomach is yelling at me.
Power. And if that's his response, then we also should see God in such a way that gets us to bow in fear.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Joe here with Impact, here with a very exciting update. Some of you guys have been talented, and I have been a couple of special deals. Link in the finally we will one up. There's gonna be a lot in the video.
Paired with our relation. Thought number 2, the fear of God should be paired with our relationship with God. Matthew chapter 6, verse 9. In this manner, therefore, pray, our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. In this passage, in this manner, therefore, pray, our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name.
Okay. Matthew 6, verse 9.
Name. In this passage, Jesus teaches people how to pray, and he teaches them to first acknowledge God as their Father, and then to remember that he is in heaven and is above them. So when it comes to fearing God, yes, it should be a thing, but we should also remember that for children of God, he is also our Father. Going back to the passage in Revelation, right before Jesus told John, "Do not be afraid," it says that Jesus laid his right hand on John. And what I find so interesting is that in that same chapter, Jesus describes his right hand as having 7 stars, which seem to represent the control of the 7 churches. So the same hand that possesses power and control is the same hand that he uses to console his people. And note that when John was terrified of God, Jesus' response was not,
"Oh, you're fearful? Good, now stay there."
Rather, Jesus felt moved to touch John and to lead him to a
Do not
place that
be
wasn't
afraid.
fearful. So when it comes to the fear of God, there should be balance. I definitely think that fearing God should be more than just respecting God, because I think that there should be a certain level of awestruck fear that understands that God is God. At the same time, we should also remember that the God we fear is also our Father, who adopted us into his family and loves us with an unending love. Because Jesus, as he taught us to pray, said to first acknowledge God as our Father and then to own the fact that he is in heaven. So if that's the case, as we fear God, we should always attach those feelings with the truth that God is our loving Father. Thought number 3, the fear of God should lead us to hate evil. Proverbs
Yes.
chapter 8, verse 13. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. Pride and arrogance and the evil way and the perverse mouth I hate.
Okay. Proverbs. Eight 13. Pride and arrogance and the evil way. You know, that's actually pretty interesting. The fact that the Bible says this, and the fact that, like, the LGBTQ community's whole thing is about pride, like Pride Month, Pride this, Pride that. It's just like God tells us so many times in the Bible not to be prideful. And he doesn't mean, he's not targeting the LGBTQ community with that. He's just targeting everyone in general because people are prideful in their own knowledge, in their own existence, in their possessions, in their self-worth. And it's just like, it's pretty interesting because they went ahead and took God, pretty much took God saying not to be prideful and turned it into a celebration of being prideful. Like they're so focused on themselves. That's so interesting. Because like it literally, like, obviously God isn't talking about Pride Month or Pride people, but he's talking about prideful people, people who's prideful, which is all of us. Every single one of us is prideful no matter the situation. We might think we're better than people, we might think that we're amazing, we might think that, oh, we have so many things, we have so much money, we have so much this and that, and or we're super smart, or we're super good at something or something like that, and that's being prideful. Not acknowledging that God is the only way we have acquired any of our belongings or any of our talents or anything like that is us being prideful. And the fact that the LGBTQ community has decided to use the word pride to be a word of acknowledgement towards their community is kind of crazy, because it's right there. It's right there. It's right there. They've taken the word pride as their title. The word pride as their title. Pride. And pride is literally the word prideful. Like, if that doesn't tell you anything right there, then I don't know. Because how I'm seeing it is that's just them being like, they don't care even more, because the word pride has been made to be an identification for them. They've taken the word prideful and made it their identity, because being part of the LGBTQ community is part of their identity. It is them, according to them. And so that means pride is their identity. So they're identifying as being prideful. So, like, even if they want to believe that that stuff isn't against God in the Bible, like the Christian LGBTQ community, if they want to believe that they can do that and follow God, and that they can, like, continue to live like that and follow God, like, I feel like it would be important to point out that they identify themselves as a part of pride. And God is against being prideful. God is against pridefulness. But they identify as being a part of pride, which they have taken and twisted into their LGBTQ community. When pride is pretty much being self-centered. Which is kind of weird, because that would mean that the LGBTQ community has identified themselves as prideful, which being prideful is being self-centered, so they have all identified themselves as being self-centered. Meaning that they don't care about anything but themselves. Which I know there's a lot of them that do care about other things other than themselves, and most of them don't even care about themselves, right? But it's like, you're identifying yourself with a word that already has a meaning and does not have multiple meanings. It is one word with one meaning. And it's not like it's spelled differently. Pride, like the pride in the Bible, what God is talking about, and what the Bible is talking about right here in Proverbs, the pride and arrogance and the evil way and the perverse mouth I hate. This pride in the Bible is pridefulness, self-centeredness, where you don't care about anything but yourself. And pride only has one meaning, and this is the original meaning. Can't just go and flip a word. Well, they already did that because, right, back in the day, gay meant happy, and it didn't mean it in any LGBTQ way, because obviously there's that Christmas song that says being merry and gay, or happy and gay. I don't know. But it doesn't mean actually it doesn't mean what it means nowadays. It meant happy back in the day, and for some reason someone out there in the world decided to change the meaning of the word to gay, to with another person, of to relationship type of thing, not like it's just crazy. It's really crazy. And then it's so annoying how every time Christmas comes along, they bring up that song. That community brings up that song, and it's like, oh, well, this word is in this song, so yeah. I don't know what they say exactly. It's been a year, right? It's been a few months since I saw any videos of them talking about that song, but every Christmas they like to bring up that song because it has that word in it, because back in the day that word meant happy. So yeah. Also, I'm sorry. I'm done writing this.
In this passage, King Solomon speaks explicitly about the fear of the Lord, and King Solomon says that the fear of the Lord is to hate evil. So when it comes to fearing God, a natural result that should come out of that is hating evil. So this is what it looks like. As followers of God, we understand that God is the creator of the world
Yes.
and our souls.
Yes.
And because he's just and righteous, he must punish all sin and evil. And that's a problem because all people are sinners. At the same time,
Yeah.
he's also loving and wanted to give people a chance to escape punishment. So since the punishment for sin is death, God sent Jesus to pay for the penalty of our sins, and he
That's
died in our
sad.
place.
No.
So note here,
I'm sorry, guys. I was taking out the sticky note that I just wrote, and it turns out that that's the last one of the small sticky notes, or the like normal size sticky notes. So now I just have giant ones and then a rectangle one that I could actually write on, because the rest of them are weird shaped.
here that Jesus died for the sins and evil that we've done in our lives. So just think about how God feels about sin. It's not something that he enjoys in the slightest. In fact, sin was the reason why his most precious son died. And in
Yeah.
Romans chapter 1 verse 18, God's attitude towards sin and righteousness is revealed, and it says that God has complete wrath and anger towards it. So if we as God's children accept God's love, grace, and mercy, shouldn't we also adopt his heart and attitude towards sin? I think oftentimes we coddle sin and allow it to hang out in our lives. And we watch shows or videos that aren't really good, or we hang
See?
out with people that lead us to evil, or we allow things in our life that poison our walk with God. When
That's crazy. And I was just talking about that too, guys. Like, I've been watching so many like they're not bad videos, but they're like videos of drama, videos of like competitions where it's like, oh, you're pretty much watching it, preying on the downfall for the other players so that the one player that you want to win wins. And it's just like, I gotta stop watching these.
When in reality, our attitude towards the things that hurt our faith should be hatred. And if we hate those things, we would take measures to stay away from those things.
Yeah.
And I should clarify, the passage says to hate evil, not people.
Yeah.
So don't just associate people with evil and choose to hate them too. The idea is to see the evil that God hates, to understand why he hates it, and then to adopt his heart to hate it too, and then to have nothing to do with it. You see, there's a reason why God hates pride, and it's probably because it can lead to selfishness, and the list goes on.
Not LGBTQ pride. Being pridefulness.
But the idea is to understand that as we fear God, we should begin seeing evil. The idea is to understand that as we
I'm gonna
fear
replay
God,
that again.
we should begin seeing evil the way that God does. And if we do that
Wait,
correctly,
I
God
didn't
to
go back
selfishness,
again.
and the list goes on. But the idea God hates pride. And it's probably because it can lead to selfishness, and the list goes on. But the idea is to understand that as we fear God, we should begin seeing evil the way that God does. And if we do that correctly, it should lead us as followers of God to a place of disgust and hatred. Because those sinful actions were the very reason why Jesus, whom we love, died the worst death imaginable.
Yeah.
Thought number 4. The fear of God should influence our relationships. Acts chapter 9, verse 31.
Yeah.
The church then had peace throughout Judea, Galilee, and Samaria, and it became stronger as the believers lived in the fear of the Lord. And with the encouragement of the Holy Spirit, it also grew in numbers.
Okay. Acts 9:31. I always kind of feel bad like writing capital G's if it's not about God. Like obviously that's not a rule or anything, but it's just like since middle school, since like when I found out how to spell God, I always felt like I cannot start a sentence with a G or make any cities or states or anything like that with a G or a capital G, because I don't feel right writing anything but God with a capital G. Like it was literally to the point where I would get like marked like grades taken down from me because I would put G's lowercase until it just got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put it capital because I don't want to fail my grade. But since I'm no longer in school, I don't really like, I still don't like putting any G's other than God capital. It's just a me thing. It's not like oh, we're not supposed to do that type of thing. It's just something that I don't like doing. And I try not to do. I am almost done. Almost. I didn't say about to be. I'm almost done. I just made the weirdest S in existence. Like, I went to do an S, and then when I went to the bottom loop, I ended up, like, doing a loop within the bottom loop. I don't even know what I did. I made, like, a W within the S. That's what I did. Like, I don't know why I did that, but it just happened. I need to go to Five Below to get more sticky notes because I don't. I'm gonna be OCD if I get different sticky notes and they don't look anything the same. I want it to look all the same.
In this passage, the early church had peace, and it says that the church got stronger because they lived in the fear of God, and because of the Holy Spirit, more people became followers of God. So note how strength and growth were the result of fearing the Lord. So in the same way, our fear of God should affect our actions and should cause us to hate evil in the same way God hates evil. Our fear of God should also affect our relationships with people. To God, people are priceless and worth protecting, helping, supporting, and worth dying for. And because the early church feared God, it led to those people being strong. And the peace and strength that they exhibited caught the attention of people around them, and they too wanted to be part of the church. And the church grew. So all that to say, our fear of God should not just affect our actions, like the early church, it should also affect our relationships with people. Someone who demonstrated this really well was David when he spared King Saul's life. King Saul was jealous of David and tried to kill David multiple times. And when David had the opportunity to kill Saul, David refused. And the reason why is because David knew that despite the fact that Saul was a bad guy, he was still the king that God chose. Any ordinary person would have gladly killed the person who was trying to kill them, but David's view of God affected the way he saw Saul. And as a result, he chose to spare him. So in the same way, our view of God should affect the way we view our mom, our dad, our family, and those people in our life that we don't like. Because at the end of the day, God loves those people. And if that's the case, we should consider how God feels about someone as we interact with them. Thought number 5, the fear of God should overpower our fear of man. Matthew chapter 10, verse 28. And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body.
Yeah. Okay. We are down to our literal last of our little bit bigger sticky notes, and we're gonna be left with only rectangle sticky notes after this. Do not Okay, about to be done.
In hell. In this passage, Jesus was teaching his 12 disciples that they should not fear people who can only kill the body, but to instead fear God who can destroy both the body and soul in hell. And here, we are met with another sobering truth about God. He has the power to destroy people in hell. And if you think that's evil, it isn't. It's actually completely just. Because according to the Bible, we're all sinners, and we all rightly deserve to be punished. But God made a way out of hell for people. So if people believe that Jesus died for their sins, then they can avoid the punishment of hell. I think many people confuse hell as being the devil's place and think that heaven is God's place. But the reality is that heaven and hell both belong to God. Going back to that passage in Revelation, Jesus says in chapter 1, verse 18, that he has the keys to Hades and death. And later in Revelation chapter 20, verse 14, Jesus says that death and Hades, being cast into the lake of fire, is the second death. So this means that Jesus has complete control of who goes to hell or the lake of fire. And owning this truth puts things into perspective because it gets us to think differently about what people could do to us. I mean, yeah, people could kill us, but really that's all that people can do. And it's only a one-moment thing, but hell lasts for an eternity. There is no end. And Jesus tells his followers not to fear people, but to fear God, because there is no comparison between what people can do and what God can do. So note that, yeah, we should love God, but Jesus flat out told Christians that they should fear God, and that fear should overshadow their fear of man. So for us, we need to remember this and really consider who God is, because God is not just the God of heaven, he is also the God of hell. And according to Matthew chapter 25, verse 41, hell is a place of eternal fire that was made specifically for the devil and his demons. And while this can sound scary and intimidating, I want you to think of thought number 6. The fear of God should lead to safety. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 26. In the fear of the Lord, there is strong confidence, and his children will have a place of refuge.
Oh, I missed it. I paused it too late.
Lord, there is strong confidence, and his children will have a place of refuge.
There we go. Okay, now I gotta write that tiny little verse. Actually, no, I could write it on here. Okay, I'll just write it on here. No, that'll be too complicated. That's gonna be too complicated for me. I could write it on here. Okay, I'm gonna write it on here. Proverbs 14. Wait, but the stickiness is on the other side. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna write it upside down then, because it's sticky on the wrong side for some reason. Doesn't make sense. Okay. Proverbs 14, 26. Oh, so yesterday I was watching a video of a YouTuber that I've been watching recently, and this video was posted like a few months ago, but I think I'm definitely unsubscribing from them, because during the video, they ended up seeing that there was a building on fire, and they were on the phone with someone in the video, they were like talking to someone on the phone in the video, and they were like, dude, like, no joke, there's a whole building on fire, like, up in flames. And the person on the phone is like, okay, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna, like, the person on the other side of the phone was like, okay, then I'm gonna go now, go be a hero. And then the YouTuber that I have been watching recently, he was like, nah, dude, I ain't doing that. This video is more important. And that just like hit me, like what the heck? Like, that feels like the lowest thing that any person can do. Like, there was a whole building on fire. They even recorded it from the distance that they were at. They were probably like maybe a mile, like a little bit less than, no, they were like they were like half a mile away from where it was happening, but they can see it because there weren't like a lot of buildings. It was like they were in a parking lot area, and then on the other side of the parking lot there was a building within the few buildings on the other side that was on fire. And they even recorded it and everything, and I don't know, like, the fact that he said that the video was more important than the building, like, literally burning to ashes, pretty much. From what it looked like in the video, it looked like the building would have been burning to ashes because the whole thing was up in flames and there was so much smoke. The fact that he said that the video was more important, that just made me feel like, wow, like, I didn't know that that YouTuber was like that. So I'm definitely unsubscribing from him, because the fact that he didn't care one bit about the burning building and was like, the video was more important. I just, I can't with that. I'm not gonna continue watching him.
In this passage, King Solomon says that there's strong confidence in the fear of the Lord and that God's children will have a place of refuge. So note that while fearing God can come with a lot of dread due to seeing God's power, we need to remember that that power is the very same power that is on our side. You see, God has a heart for his people. And when his people honor him and love him and make it a point to obey him, God rallies next to them and becomes all that they'll need. So note that one characteristic of love is becoming whatever their loved one needs at that moment of time. So when the Israelites needed deliverance from the Egyptians, God sent them a deliverer and plagues to free them. And when David needed protection against his enemies, God gave him victory and valiant men to fight alongside him. And when people were on their way to hell because of their sins, God sent his son Jesus to save them, and he paved a way for them to go to heaven instead. So yeah, God is God and he is to be feared because of his sheer power. At the same time, God uses that very same power to create a place of refuge and safety for those who love him. So for you, yes, fear God, but also remember what God's power has done for you. Through his power, we have the hope of heaven, access to God's unending love, and gives us the strength to overcome anything that stands against us.
Yeah.
And thought number 7, the fear of God should be a lifestyle. Proverbs chapter 23, verse 17. Do not let your heart envy sinners, but live in the fear of the Lord always.
I missed it again.
Do not let your heart envy sinners, but live in the fear of the Lord always.
There we go. I didn't miss it this time. Okay. For some reason, the thought of a dream I've had very long ago just popped into my head. It was a dream that, like, where I live, there's bridges, and, like, I don't know, like, the bridges ended up breaking, and there was a bunch of destruction and stuff like that. But I just saw that as, like, a random weird dream. I didn't see that as anything important, but the fact that I'm remembering that, and it's been years or months now since I had that, it's making me think differently about that now. I don't know.
Always. In this passage, King Solomon tells his listeners not to allow their hearts to covet what ungodly people have, but to always live in the fear of the Lord.
Yes.
And here, I want to point out the fact that the fear of the Lord is something to live in always. A.W. Tozer rightly says, what comes into our minds when we think about God is the most important thing about us. Because if we understand God to be absolutely holy, all-powerful, completely just, and perfectly wise, and on top of that is infinite, then we'd rightly fear God. And when that fear is tethered with the truth of God's word, that fear turns into comfort. So that being said, the fear of the Lord is what this world needs. And not just for unbelievers, but Christians everywhere need to own the fact that our God is to be feared. Because a heart that fears God correctly is one that will flee sin and treat people correctly, because that heart will know that God sees all. And while that may seem intimidating, the truth still stands. That God, while he is terrifyingly infinite in power, still possesses a heart that desires to hold us close and bless us beyond measure. Okay? So if you have questions on what it means to fear God, remember these 7 thoughts. The fear of God should come from who God is. The fear of God should be paired with our relationship with God. The fear of God should lead us to hate evil. The fear of God should influence our relationships. The fear of God should overpower our fear of man. The fear of God should lead to safety. And the fear of God should be a lifestyle.
Yes.
So may we all learn to fear God correctly and regularly. And may that fear turn to comfort and love for the God who saved us. So may you rest in these truths. And as you do, I hope you remember today that Jesus loves you.
Okay. I hope that you guys got something from this video. I hope that you guys are having a great day. I hope that you guys have a great day, because it is the morning still. I hope that everything is going okay in everyone's lives. I hope that we all have a great day, or continue to have a great day. And I will see you guys later on. I'm going to watch the rest of these videos later on. I'm gonna go eat something because I am hungry. So yeah, goodbye, God bless you guys. I will see you guys next time whenever I decide to make another video and get on here and stuff like that. So yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye.